uh, office bearers of the Institute, council members, honored guests, presidents of affiliated societies, and esteemed members of the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers. Let me welcome you in this, at this AGM of the year 2023. It is my pleasure to welcome you here on the 19th of March 2024. We have to say that we're coming from COVID. We could never do these things physically. This is a hybrid event. We are here at the SAIEE House, so we do have other attendees that are online. So we also need to consider them, and they are considered. Before starting with the business of the day, let's try and mitigate any risks being engineers that we are. So in case of an emergency, we're not saying there will be, but in case there will be one, an alarm will sound, and I'm hearing myself. When that happens, first thing, please stay calm. There's no worse thing than being agitated because that makes more incidents now. Stay calm. We'll move out of this venue as quickly as possible without running or colliding with other attendees via the nearest emergency exit. So I'll qualify which are the emergency exits. We'll go out the emergency exits to the designated assembly point, and that would be the area, let me stand correctly, behind me, outside by the parking area. It's just next to the lamp post that's got the SAIEE sign on it. So emergency exits out of this council chambers here, there's two types. The first one, in a normal evacuation, we'll use the ones to my right. That's the two doors. You'll take or get out with whichever one that's closest to you, into the foyer, through to your right a bit, through the glass doors, and into the outside to the lamp post. So in an unusual emergency where we cannot get out those doors, we'll need to use the sliding doors here, but unfortunately it's a balcony, so it will be an unusual one. We'll need to facilitate how we get through to the area, assembly point. And then more importantly, the ablution facilities. It's outside the normal emergency evacuation doors. Through to the passage, it's the first door to your right. Actually, that's the handicapped or those who are paraplegics. But then the second one on your right, on your left, that's the gents. Further on to your left, that's the ladies. Very important. And just moving on to hygiene issues. For those of you that have RSVP'd to be here physically, you'd have received an email that's got the documents that are related to this event, which would be the minutes of the last meeting and the AGM report. The same two documents are also available for those of you who are joining us online today in the chat box of the is it Zoom? No, we're using GoToWebinar. Thank you. They are available in the chat box, so you are welcome to access them. We did print out some few ones, but obviously we also need to make sure that we save the planet and not cut down too many trees. With that said, let me call upon the president of the Institute, Professor Jan de Kock, to take over the chairing from here. Thank you very much, President. The floor is yours.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Very welcome to our AGM. Thank you, Mr. CEO, for the introduction. I'd like to call your attention to the minutes of the previous meeting, which our CEO has just said is available on the website, or those of you that are here in hard copy as well. Are there any inaccuracies in our minutes? On page 1, page 2, and page 3. Those of you that are in favor of us adopting the minutes, please raise your hand. Thank you. Then let's move to item 2 of our agenda, which starts with the annual report. Okay. Okay. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We also need a seconder for the minutes. Thank you. But then if we can turn to my report of the past year. It started off with the AGM on the 23rd of March last year. And the focus of my term was whether we could beat load shedding. Load shedding, unfortunately, is still with us, but the aim of a series of talks, starting with my inaugural speech, was to create an awareness of how we can actually improve the situation and also to stimulate the debate. That being said, I toured the country to all the centres where we had a similar discussion, and in all cases it resulted in a lively debate. This theme was continued with, amongst other things, webinars held by the government, and we contributed to some articles in the press about the load shedding crisis. That was followed by some more concrete plans. For example, the Eskom Transmission Development Plan for the next 10 years, which showed how constrained our grid was primarily in the Northern Cape and in the Eastern Cape. And then in May last year, there was a lot of talk at the time about the possibility of blackouts. And for that, Michiel Viljoen presented a very interesting lecture on blackouts around the world and what would trigger them and how far we actually got in South Africa to actually having a blackout. I'm pleased to say we've never had one. And then we also had a talk by Isabel Fick from Eskom's National Control on grid stability and measures that they've put in place to actually prevent blackouts. In September, we had the usual Bernard Price Memorial Lecture, which this year or last year was presented by Professor Jan Meyer from Dresden University of Technology in Germany. And then we had a number of discussions, not only at the centres but also here in Council, about the value proposition of the Institute to its members. And that resulted in a deep dive event that we held at the end of November last year to look at how we could actually arrest the situation. In May last year, we also said goodbye to Professor Surab Sinai, who took up a position in New Zealand, and as you may know, he's been the editor-in-chief of the ARJ for a long time. Then we also had a number of milestones and administrative changes that took place last year. Very importantly, the Institute registered as a non-profit company, and we're also in the process of registering as an NPC and a PBO. At the moment, we're just waiting for SARS to do their thing so that we can proceed with the next steps there. And then, during my tenure, I also visited one of 5 historical sites that there's a plaque up that was put up by the historical section of the Institute. This one particular was in Groot River near George, and there is a small hydro plant that was put up in 1924. And that was worthwhile going there. The importance, I think, is that we have 5 of these sites, and we actually need to actively preserve them and also expand our history, just thinking of the museum next door. So all of those that you that have a bit of extra time available, you're quite welcome to join the historical section and put in a few hours there. You might find something very interesting there as well. And then my term finished with the awards evening that we had last Friday evening. Many of you that are here this evening were also there, and I think everybody thoroughly enjoyed that. So with that, the end of my annual report. I'd like now to call on our honorary treasurer, Jacob Masinjike, to present the financial statements of the last year. Jacob.
Thank you, Prof. President. Office bearers, council members, and all our esteemed guests, members of the Institute. I recognize you, Chief Executive and staff. The first point to note, and it's an apology on the part of council, on the part of management, and on my own behalf, is that the financial statements were concluded on rather very late. And what we need to be mindful of, all of us, is that our financial year used to end at the end of December. And it was always a big rush to finalize the results and get external auditors to do their work. And it was such a crunch leading to the AGM, which we always have in the month of March. Generally, it's like the last Thursday of the month, but sometimes we have the meeting sooner. So we took a resolution as council that we had to change the end of our financial statements to end of November to accommodate for time to run around and deal with the audited financial statements. And you as the AGM, you approved that. And for the past few years, we have been running smoothly in terms of concluding on our results timeously. But this time around, it was a mess. It was due to systems. It was due to all sorts of niggly issues, and I'm sure our CEO will cover some of those challenges when he comes to talk to us and address us. So the annual financial statements for the year ended 2023, 30th of November, were circulated to Council, and Council have approved those. But prior to Council's approval, we have a very good Finance and Internal Audit Committee that scrutinizes expenses on a monthly basis, that oversees our investments. And we are able to tally all the expenses to what was approved by Council as a budget. And that ensures that there is discipline in how we handle our finances. And I thank the Chief Executive Officer as well as the Finance Manager and staff for the preparation of reports, which we analyze and scrutinize, and we have an opportunity to share those results on a monthly basis to our EXCO, which is chaired by our President, and in turn, these results are shared with Council, generally on a monthly basis. So there is that discipline which is important, and I'm very thankful to all our structures of governance for exercising the required oversight of our finances. Having said that, the auditors, in their opinion, they are happy with the financial statements, and they say they present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers as of 30th of November 2023, and that our financial performance and cash flows for the year that ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standard for small and medium sized entities and the requirements of the Constitution and bylaws of our institute. So the auditors are happy. And it's part and parcel of their report, which is signed by our President and which is here presented before yourselves for your adoption and approval. Now, there are important notes in terms of the financials. After we've done the budgeting and we've tallied our assets and equity and liabilities, there is always the bottom line. And we tend to focus a lot on the bottom line as an institute. Our idea is not to make huge profits through investments or whatever, because we are supposed to be an organization which is not supposed to make money. You know, we belong to our members, so our members own the finances, and we don't want to attract the South African Revenue department's officials into our midst, and therefore we need to manage our accounts prudently. So the 2023 financial budget was approved in September 2022. So the budget was set and approved. And the budget was approved with a deficit amount of 189,548. We do the deficit and then we balance it through our investments. And our investments have been doing very well recently, but not so much in years gone by due to the COVID days. So we normally work with like a deficit budget. But the deficit in the end, in terms of financial statements, came to 1,297,122 rands. So we had budgeted for a small deficit. We ended up with a significantly much higher deficit, in excess of 1 million. Now, when you compare the financial year ended 2023 with the previous financial year, where we had made a surplus, so we have had a significant swing from a previous year surplus of 1,069,000, 1,069,743. So 2022 financial year end surplus of 1 million, and then we went to a deficit of more than 1 million. And that needs to be explained. And it was not because of our lack of controls being remiss in our judgment in terms of a number of matters, but it was all for good reasons. For instance, during the financial year, a decision was taken by the governance committee to allow accumulated membership credit balances emanating from unused early bird discounts. So we have a system in place where when we say members pay for the next financial year, we give you like a 3 months period within which if you pay within those 3 months, you get like an early bird discount. So these discounts have been accumulating for years. So when we're doing the cleaning up of our accounts, there are a number of members who have therefore benefited from those credits. We are a members organization. So our members have benefited from the credits. It's for their good discipline of early payments. It's a system that we approved, which we put in place to encourage our members to pay early. And therefore there is benefits that accrue. So when we did the numbers, this total amount then ended up being in the order of 775,000. That is the price tag for all that. We have to provide for it. So the swing from the surplus of 2022 to the deficit of 2023 has got such a huge amount, which has been a benefit to the members. But one could say that we should have foreseen this and we should have budgeted for it. But this is where we had to say, how do we progress with this? Do we decide on this differently and not give our members the benefit, or do we give them that benefit? So we decided to give that benefit. The membership fees increases during the budget time was only 4%. Again, we are giving the benefit to members. You know, inflation is much higher, and we're not going by inflation because we are also mindful that by providing perhaps a reasonably small increase in the membership fees that we have to pay, we have this endeavor to attract a lot more members into the organization. So 4% was the increase. But did we get the benefit of the members, colleagues? No. We are losing members left, right, and center. For reasons, some which we understand, but others maybe not. But we are thankful that our president organized a deep dive session with some council members, and we analyzed almost everything, and I'm certain we got the answers. We just now need time to implement what it is we said we have to do, so that we turn this loss of members matter around, including a lot of members who are there not paying, whom we are saying, should we struck them off or not? What do we do? So we are talking to a number of organizations, including our corporate partners. We are also have been looking at beefing up our skills, resources in the finance environment. And as a result, there is an amount of money that we are to spend. And this is about getting staff on board before those who are now on retirement, who are serving on contract, leave our organization. So it's about shadowing and allowing some of our new staff to learn from those who will be exiting eventually. So it's part of succession planning, and we've had to spend money on that. Another area, and I won't cover all of them, but I just want to give you some of the big tickets. Bursaries, 297,000 dispersed as bursaries. Then there is the SAIEE 400,000 area rate charge from rates charged as residential when we changed, which we should not have paid had we changed to an not-for-profit organization. So what has been happening over the years, and it's something that I shared with you even at the last AGM, is that as far as the City of Johannesburg is concerned, when they've been viewing us, we are a 1909 organization which had certain statutes and constitutions, and in terms of the laws of the land, they could not place us anywhere. They could not say we are a not-for-profit organization, or we are like a special company of sorts, and I suppose correctly so. So the City of Johannesburg then said, look, for us to give you concessionary rates in terms of your services that you consume, you must be properly registered as a not-for-profit organization. And we've been busy with this for the past couple of years, and through the leadership of Deputy President Pascal, who has been the chair of our governance committee, we have meandered through together with the committee to the conclusion of having our institute properly recorded and registered as a not-for-profit organization, and we are proceeding also, perhaps we have concluded on that, to become a public benefit organization. What it means is that if there are donations given to the institute, those who donate should be able to claim that from tax, and it now means that we are able to apply to the City of Johannesburg so that we receive less amounts in terms of rates for what we consume, water, electricity, and the likes. But there was this amount where we had to engage the services of legal advisors to try and take on the City of Johannesburg to say, you have been allowing us to operate like this and acknowledging us as a not-for-profit organization. Then from nowhere, they've had to work backwards and levy a huge amount at us. Hence, we had to pay the 400,000, including paying the legal fees, because we were not successful in our bid to not to pay as much an amount. Let me end here. Other than this is to say also the financial statements are with you. When you look at our total equity and liabilities, there is an increase. You know, we were sitting on about 51 million, and the previous year it was approximately 48. And then you can say, but where did the increase come from? In the main, it's about our investments. I think the equities are doing reasonably well. We've got funds that we manage, not only for the institute, but we manage these funds also for other organizations that provide bursaries to our staff, as well as manage such funds for the past president's purse. I will take questions, Mr. President, if there are any. Otherwise, the Chief Executive and the whole team is here to try and respond to the questions, if there are any. Otherwise, I'm putting a motion that the AGM approve the financial statements. Mr. Hoffman?
Mr. President, Mr. Honorary Treasurer, thank you very much. It's just a question regarding the 700,000 expense we took on discounts. Is that a one-off? It's going to happen again next year?
In terms of the treatment of the huge amount, it's you can call it a once-off. But what we are saying is that going forward, we need to be able to exercise the reallocation of funds. In other words, as you pay early, you should get the credit. Right? Yeah. And yes, and if we are to accumulate something, it becomes a provision. We won't suffer like the big dip that we suffered this time around. So you can comfortably see it as a once-off, but we need to ensure that at least our financial prudency going forward does not expose us to such. Yeah, it was an accumulation because it's money that should have been given credit to members, and that was not done. Yeah, for various reasons. Any other question, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know at this stage, Mr. President, whether I should move a motion to have the annual financial statements of the year ended 30th of November 2023 approved by the AGM. Mr. President?
Thank you very much to our Honorary Treasurer, Jacob. And then, if there are no more questions, my call for a proposer for us to adopt our financial statements. Thank you, David. And the seconder, past President Andries. Can I then call for a vote that we adopt the annual report and our financial statements for the year ending at the end of November last year? Please raise your hand if you support the motion. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you that are opposed? Nobody. Thank you. Anybody on online?
President,
Yeah.
we lost our online counterparts when the electricity went down, but we still trying to get it back.
All right. Thank you very much, Leonetti. Then let's turn our attention to general business. If there are any questions from the floor, we'll try and answer them now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Then let's move on to the induction of our incoming president, and I'd like to present to you the CV of our incoming president. Our incoming president, Pascal Motsoasele, has 22 years of experience as an engineer in the electricity and water utility space. He's a registered professional engineer with EXA and represents EXA in its membership of the Federation of African Engineering Organizations, where he has served as the chairman of the Manufacturing Working Group. He also serves on the EXCO of the South African Council for Automation and Control, the Industry Advisory Board of UNISA's College for Science, Engineering and Technology, and is a subject matter expert on various standards committees of the ISO, IEC, and SABS. He's also a recipient of the Institute's Engineer of the Year Award in 2018 and the Chairman's Award in 2012 of the Utilities Technology Council in the USA. He's currently employed as a consultant automation engineer at Rand Water. He holds a BSc from UCT, IMDP from the Da Vinci Institute of Technology Management, an MAP from Wits Business School, an MEng from Wits University, and an MBA from UNICAF University. Pascal believes in lifelong learning, and he is currently pursuing an advanced diploma in industrial automation engineering with the Engineering Institute in Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you our new president. And I'd like you now for him to present his inaugural lecture. Pascal, the floor is yours.
Thank you, outgoing President. Good evening, everyone. At this stage, I would like to invite past President Dr. Angus Hay to come and propose a vote of thanks for the outgoing President. Thank you.
Just to credit to our incoming president, for those who've never done this, the problem is always that you're not quite sure whether to follow the agenda or look at Gerda or, well done. We're on the agenda. You know, we judge presidents of the SAIEE perhaps by their actions rather than by their words, but one of the ways that we can judge the success of a president really is by where they place their focus. And there's only so much time that you have in a year as president to really get things done and to get your message across. And thankfully, Eskom provided a theme for Prof de Kock for his year, very kindly offering him the theme of load shedding, which I think has proven to be a very successful theme for us as electrical engineers. You know, I was just saying to somebody at the table, mentioned to Andres that, you know, we've kind of got better at this. You know, when the lights went out now, I just realized that we actually don't have problems that we used to have. Who remembers us holding a meeting in 2008 by candlelight? Nowadays we have generators. So I just wanted to echo then on some of the things that Prof. de Kock had spoken about. I mean, certainly this is one of the best themes I've seen run through the year. You know, his presidential address certainly, I think, got the message out. And as he said, his goal was to get the message out, not to actually fix load shedding. But I think importantly, the message has got out to government, the message got out to our members, the message has got out. And importantly, the message has got out that electrical engineers can solve this problem. I think that theme was picked up very well right through the other things. The presidential invitation lecture this year by Michiel Viljoen. For those who attended it, it was kind of scary, but fascinating, and I think a really good you know, education for many of us around why we're doing these things and what the challenges can be. Similarly with the Bernard Price Memorial Lecture, I think excellent choice of speaker, and you know, it was great to have an international expert telling us about some of the changes that we can expect as we solve these problems and as we go forward. I want to talk a little bit just quickly about Prof. de Kock himself, because he has a superpower. And his superpower is his ability to bring a level of gravitas and stability and certainty when he enters the room. And if you don't believe me, you ask any one of the council members, because he had to deal with lots of unruly council members and committee members. I see people laughing, they know what I mean. The thing that Prof. de Kock has always managed to do is bring the tone down, bring the noise down, and get us down to a stable level, and manage to get us to progress as a council as a result. So I think it's been great to have him as a leader, certainly of the Institute. You know, how are we going to remember Prof. de Kock's presidency? Well, I mean, this was the year when we did some restructuring. This is the year we became a non-profit organization and a public benefit organization. Perhaps we're going to remember him for, you know, in the distant future, we're going to remember him for that dimly remembered thing called load shedding, which we've all forgotten. But I think more importantly, we are going to remember Prof. de Kock's presidency for ensuring that the SAIEE showed its leadership in promoting electrical science and its applications to the benefit of its members in the community. exactly in line with our objective. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hay. Where's the camera guy? No photos? Oh, okay. Are we back online? We are? Okay, thank you. Okay, at this stage, I would like to request Mrs. Elma de Kok to come forward to receive a token of our appreciation for having supported our president for the past year. And Mrs. Motsoasele, can you come forward, please? Allow me to take this opportunity to congratulate Engineer Veer Ramnarain. He has been elected to the Deputy President of the Institute. Confirmation of our auditors for the year. I propose that FC Chartered Accountants be elected as the Institute's auditors for the ensuing year. And I'm calling for a seconder. Thank you, Prof. Pat. I further want to propose that Messrs. Fairbrigers Waitham Becker be elected as our legal representatives for the ensuing year, and calls on a seconder. Thank you, CEO. Thank you, Silo. By the way, there's a Miss Jody Posweletsky from our legal representatives over here. Do you want to introduce yourself? Okay.
Congratulations. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jody Posweletsky. I'm a director at Fairbridges Wertheim Beck Attorneys. I'm honored to be here tonight. I've been working closely with Leonetse for the past few years, and we specialize in commercial litigation, corporate law services, and data protection and privacy. And we've actually collaborated, been offering a lot of data protection services lately. And so if you do require any assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us. And it's a pleasure and it's an honor to be with you this evening. Thank you.
I'm going to now seek from the members now authorization to invest in the equities. I propose that the council be authorized to continue to invest in equities with our 3 investment houses, which are Nedbank, Investec, and Sanlam. Is there a seconder? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so under clause 3.8 of our constitution as an institute, the council has elected honorary treasurer, okay, vice president, honorary vice president, Jurgens Daniel as our honorary vice president for this year. I just want to announce that. Furthermore, I'm hereby announcing again under clause now 3.2 of our constitution that council has elected Professor Pat Naidu as the honorary treasurer of the institute for this year. Congratulations. Congratulations, Pat. Can you come through and get your certificate? All right, so we are at that stage where now I have to announce the council members for this year. So it's not on the slides, but I will read it out for you. First up online, myself, the president. My deputy president is Veer Ramnarey. Senior vice president, Prudence Madiba. Junior vice president, Willie Cronje. Immediate past president, Yandi Kok. Honorary treasurer, Pat Naidu. Honorary vice president, Jurgens Daniel. So I chose the hashtags deliver, because we are engineers, we deliver. Hashtag pass on the baton, because we have our student members even here as well. I want to speak to them as well. And sustainability. I want to speak to our members of the SAIEE in general. Before I start with that, I first want to give you a bit of history about myself. Many of you don't know me. Yes, a collage of photos about myself. On the top left-hand side, you can guess which one am I there? Obviously, I'm the one with the big stomach, right? Yeah. But over the years, then I lost that stomach a bit, because you can see there, I'm a Kung Fu enthusiast. So I'm doing splits over there. That's my mother there in the bottom left. You can see how skinny I was. My high school, unfortunately, I didn't have a photo where I'm by myself, so there's a friend of mine with myself there at the high school, St. Boniface High School in Kimberley. And I used to want to be an astronomer, and that's why you see me there at the Sutherland, the South African Astronomical Observatory in Sutherland. I had a little stint over there as well, and I didn't like it, and I came back to electrical engineering. And now here I am, president of the SAIEE. Tiger Woods once said, people don't understand that when I grew up, I was never the most talented, I was never the biggest, I was never the fastest, I certainly was never the strongest. The only thing I had was my work ethic, and that's been what has gotten me thus far. I wanted to quote that because I didn't know how to put it. I think he puts it best. The photo at the bottom there, it was 2012, I was at Medupi Power Station, which was in construction at the time. My daughter, who's sitting right here, at that time she was grade 1, I think, yeah. When they were asking her at school to say, what does your parents do, you know, things like that. And she said to us, she came and told us that when she saw that photo, she thought that I dig holes for a living. So that's what we are, engineers, digging holes. The middle photo there, yeah, that's a proud moment for myself as well, you know, because that's when I won the Engineer of the Year Award 2018. So I thought I should also share it there as well. That doesn't matter what you do, né? Even if you dig holes, just be the expert in what you do, and then people will pay you for it. Take pride in your career, however humble it is. Always strive to be of service. Next slide. So my presidential theme is premised around 4 things. Né? Student chapters. I am passionate about helping the next generation of our members of the SAIE. I mean, they are the future of this institute. So that's why I'm making my talk about them as well. Secondly, I want to make sure that we professionalize our membership. It should be prestigious and sought after for anyone to want to become our members. So with the CEO, we've been talking about actually registering our membership postfixes, the M SAIE, SM SAIE, and the F SAIE with the SACA. So M is member SAIE. So behind your name, you will put M SAIE. Pascal Motsoasele, M SAIE. Then you're a member SAIE. SM is senior member SAIE. I'm a fellow, so F SAIE. We need to enhance our value proposition to our current members, make it prestigious to be an SAIE member. That way we can maybe stop the bleeding of membership as it was. So I'm talking about also evolutionary growth of the institute. So we need to activate the structural changes that the Honorary Treasurer mentioned that we did through the governance committee, which I was chairing. Ensure that the institute survives for yet another 115 years. This year we are 115 years old. I'm the 115th president of the institute. Go back. Forward. So, yes, so hashtag SAIEE engineering, SAIEE. So we still remain the same, South African Institute of Electrical, but now the last E is no longer engineers. It's going to be engineering. So we want to be inclusive in terms of our membership. We have artisans, technicians, technologists, and others that, that could actually become our members. So we need to grow organically as an institute. So we are trying to broaden our market. Lastly, delivering engineering services. So we want to be able to have recognition of the vast engineering talent pool capable of delivering on any mega infrastructure project, and the pool of subject matter experts that are well versed with infrastructure asset management and operations. Next slide. So let me talk first to engineering for service delivery. The South African engineering industry has a rich history of invention, discovery, and manufacturing prowess. Pity that currently it is hamstrung by what I would call here the 4 apocalyptic horsemen of the engineering sector, which are power issues, water issues. We know here in Joburg we are struggling with water, infrastructure delivery, be it roads, ports, whatever, rail, and of course, I threw in the 4th one there, political will, or lack thereof, because many of these things can be solved by just political will to deal with fraud and corruption. So what can we as engineering practitioners do about it? You have to be a well-rounded electrical engineer that understands the socio-political environment that we exist in and be a change agent. So who's willing to stand up and be counted? Who's going to be the next Hendrik van der Bijl? That picture over there, our founding father. If you know about Hendrik van der Bijl, or if you don't know, you can just go in Wikipedia and see. Actually, he's credited with founding this institute. The likes of, he was in industrial, the likes of ESCOM, Transnet, CSIR, you name them, Randwater maybe. So yeah, who's going to be the next engineer who's going to pick up that baton and run with it? Let me talk to scenario planning. South African politicians have been promising the nation that they can end load shedding in a few months, right? I'm now quoting Dr. Padile Hotla. Last week, Wednesday, I was here in these very chambers when the Central Gauteng Center actually hosted Dr. Padile Hotla here for their meeting, and I was here. So I'm quoting what he was saying over there. Engineers are being sidelined. The country expects to solve technical engineering problems, e.g. load shedding, infrastructure delivery, maintenance, etc. But the engineers are not at the table. How is the politician going to know how to solve load shedding if they're not involving engineers? Dr. Padile Hotla, the former Statistician General of SA, introduced the Indlulamiti scenarios that he talked about. These scenarios outline the potential future trajectories for South Africa beyond 2030. I've put in a link there if you wanted to see more about the Indlulamity scenarios. But in it there's one that they call the vulture culture. That is one that intrigued me more. When people lose faith in the democratically elected government and mob psychology kicks in, bringing forth the era of the tyranny, that's the one that I'm trying to picture here. It only takes, a raging inferno owes its humble beginnings from just a tiny spark. So one day, the destitute, desperate, and homeless will wake up and realize how lucrative it is to be a criminal in the South African jails than to be poverty-stricken and out in the streets living under a bridge and using a card box for a blanket or no clothes to wear and no food in your stomach. And then they'll come to our houses. I live in the suburbs. I know sometimes there are people who are passing by the street and then they actually shake the gate, violently so, insisting that you must give them something. Imagine the mob psychology that will prevail once all of them, they organize and they commit the crimes. It is really lucrative to be in South African jails because you will have a bed, warm clothes, clean clothes, warm food. You don't have to worry about anything at all. Why choose to be in the street? Why? So that's just something I wanted to put it out there to the engineers. We need to #deliver. So again, I didn't know how to put it, but she put it best. The former vice chancellor of the UCT, when she said, if you're in a leadership position, please don't compromise on deliverables. Always remember that the reason you are upset about things that are not working in your municipality, your city, your country, or the organization is precisely because someone who had or has the responsibility to make them happen chose to be nice so that they can be liked rather than to hold people accountable. So please do the right thing, deliver, and hold those who report to you accountable to deliver on their responsibilities. Of course, they won't like it. Others may call you names or say you are difficult to work with. Remain free-spirited and keep demanding delivery. It's about time we end mediocrity. Couldn't say it better. Couldn't have said it better. So, okay, now let me speak to the seasoned professionals within our ranks. Engineers are problem solvers. Engineering basically is about improving the quality of life. I thought I wrote it in full. QLL is quality of life. Engineers create the world we live in. Engineering equals, obviously I'm an engineer, I have to put in an equation. Engineering equals technology development geared to design, build, operate, and maintain infrastructure for economic prosperity. I want to speak about that link, almost like that we create the pipeline of engineering practitioners from cradle to grave and circle back. So you have pupils, we go out there as an institute and entice them to follow STEM subjects. Hopefully one of them being actually engineering and specifically electrical engineering. That's where our vested interest is. So we go to schools and talk to pupils. Later on then we have students, they become students. So we still maintain them. That's why we have student chapters. Welcome UJ student chapters for coming through today. Then later they graduate and they become young professionals who need mentorship. Before you know it, they become the seasoned professionals themselves. We should not lose them at that stage as well. They must then become trainers and mentors for the next generation. It's always about the next generation. You cannot make a contribution towards inspiring the next generation of engineers. If you cannot do that, then what are you doing here? How are you spending your days on this beautiful blue marble that's spinning around the sun every 365.25 days? Yes. Einstein said, out of complexity, find simplicity. So I had a professor back in UCT, first year when I was doing engineering drawing, Professor Andrew Sass. He used to say to us when I was struggling with that drawing a spanner, I think, yeah. And then he said, no, man, engineers are lazy people. We hate complexity and hard work and always find ways to make things simpler and easy. And then he showed me how easy it was to draw that spanner, right? But I don't think his words were right in a way. I want to correct that to say engineers are not really lazy. We just want the easy way out. I mean, nature itself works that way, right? Nature always tries to find the easiest way out. Look at the lightning bolt. Look at that picture there. The reason why it's not straight, we know light travels in straight lines. But the reason why it's not straight, it's trying to find the easiest path to Earth. It happens to be crooked like that because it's following the least resistance, path of least resistance to get down to Earth. The Kirchhoff-Thevenin theorem. You remember in a T-junction, you have I1 coming in, and then it splits to I2 and I3. Yes. If there's more resistance in I2, more of the current is going to flow to I1, right? Because there's least resistance. That's nature. It's there also. The cross-connecting of water pipelines as well. If there's a cross-connection, and then this one is a thinner pipe, and then one is a bigger pipe, most of the water will go to the bigger pipe, least resistance. Look at the path that I've drawn out there. Those people on the bottom left, there's a bridge. I don't know if you can see it at the top. Instead of going to the bridge there, the woman in pink, you can see it there by the end, by the cars. They should walk to there, get up the stairs, go across the bridge safely so that they are not hit by cars. But look at what they do. It's in human nature to find shortcuts. So they're just going to cross here and tata my chance. Play the lotto with your life, yeah? And look at this one here at the end. You can see the shortest path is to go right through the grass. And that's what they've been doing, killing the campus, you know, the nice campus with grass and everything. Instead of just going around the bend, there's a shortcut. A footpath somewhere next to the grass. Yeah, so it's in nature. Students are here. Let me talk to this one here. Work smart. Ne? You have no time to look at a 1,000-page textbook and cram it from top to bottom, right? There's no time for that. What do? You attend lectures. You listen to the lecturer. And you take verbal cues so that you know more or less what to expect in the exams and tests. And that's how you survive. There's no way you have read the entire textbook. Yes. Shortest path. Coming back to engineers now, they don't shy away from complexity, by the way. They actually aim to just simplify it. The pictures I have there, let me tell you a story. There was a book by Randy Gage. I just don't remember the name of the book. But in it, there's a story where he says, there was this village. In this book, he mentions, there was this village. In the village, they were living about 2 kilometers from the river. So every day, they would take 2 buckets of water, 5 liter on one hand, 5 liter on the other hand. They will go to the river 2 kilometers to fetch water and come back. But at some stage, some of them who can afford it because they don't want to go to the river, they would pay other people to go and fetch the water for them. A bucket this side, 5 liter, so 10 liters, and they are paying them 10 rands per bucket to fetch the water. So one trip would be like 20 rands, let's say. I'm now paraphrasing Randy Gage because he's American. I know he was talking on dollars. I'm just appropriating the story because why? I'm an engineer. We take the easiest way. You don't reinvent the wheel when you can just appropriate somebody's story to fit your narrative. Yeah. So, coming back to the story then, yes. So they would pay people to go and fetch the water and come back with it. At least I'm crediting Randy Gage, right? I'm not plagiarizing. I'm crediting him for the story. Yes, they would go to fetch the water and come back, get their 20 rands for the trip and things like that. There was this one guy who eventually got tired of all this back and forth like that, you know, trying to keep his money that way. That he decided then, no, man, there must be another way. So yeah, because I'm an engineer, I'm going to again appropriate the story to say, this guy was an entrepreneur. So he's not an entrepreneur, he's an entrepreneur. So what he decided to do then, one day, instead of going to fetch water, he decided to start digging trenches from the river to the village. The other bucket carriers looked at him and they were like laughing at him. Stupid guy, he's not making money now. Look at him, this one. So they laughed at him. Sure enough, per day he would go and fetch 2 buckets and fetch the water, get paid for that one day. But day and night he would just be working on digging trenches. until eventually, after 2 to 3 months, he completed the work. Then he went to his home, and he opened the tap, and water came out. Of course, the villagers saw this, and they went to him to get the water from. And of course, it was cheaper now because he was charging them 5 rand per bucket, instead of those guys 10 rand per bucket. So there was a long queue, obviously, at his house, people coming to get water from him. Who's laughing now? So anyway, obviously, as things would go, you know, the bucket carriers are disgruntled because they are frustrated and all that. They even wanted to sabotage the pipeline that he had created, of course. Of course, him being an entrepreneur, he thought about this already, scenario planning. Remember what I said? Engineers are scenario planners. He already thought about the scenario. So he called them on up to a meeting. He told them that he needed their help, that they must work for him. They were quite happy to drop their buckets and work for him. And then he pays them the money that they normally used to make. Now he's paying them. So they were quite happy to do that. They didn't have to sabotage. In fact, they were now starting to protect that line to make sure that their salaries, at least at the end of the month, comes through. Yeah. And of course, the queue was so long, they were actually starting to help him to implement new pipelines as well, to create more pipelines. So they started creating more pipelines, generating more revenue, maintaining the pipelines. All they had to do was to do that, maintain the pipelines, generate more revenue, and everybody was happy. That's the story I wanted to appropriate from Randy Gage. Yeah. So, yeah, I think you get the message already there. Ne? I don't have to expand on it because I'm worried about time as well. Let me speak rather to now the young professionals and the students that are amongst us. Please don't feel despondent when your big dream should fall and break into many pieces. You can always pick one of the pieces and run with it. Myself as an example, boot number 2. I did not graduate in record time. I went to UCT, I failed. I failed. I did not graduate in record time. It took me 6 years to complete a 4-year degree. Yeah. Okay, fine. There's this thing they call Aspect, which is like a bridging program for people from academically disadvantaged backgrounds. So it's a 5-year where they take a 4-year degree program and they stretch it into 5. So first year you do some first-year courses, and then second year you do the rest of the first-year courses and some second-year courses. That way they stretch it into 5 years. Yes, but I still took 6 years to complete the degree because I failed along the way. Imagine that I given up at that time. So it's not about speed or intelligence or how good you are. It's about determination. So I wanted to leave that message with you guys, the young engineers, up and coming. Failure is not a bad thing. If you fail and you are still here, then the fat lady hasn't sung yet. Take the lessons. They are there to prepare you actually for the next stage of your career and your life. 2 pitfalls that I think you need to be worried of, that I think we must actually, in our curriculum back in the day, I don't know now how the curriculum is for varsities, but back in the day, I would have really appreciated that information. Time management and financial management. I want to speak to those as nuggets for you young ones. Next slide. Starting with time management, yes. Structure your time wisely, make every hour count. This is just the template that I'm using, just to give you a mental picture. You need to structure your time. So for me, my template, can we switch on the aircon, please? Yeah. Or can I take off my jacket? So yeah, for me, my template, there are 24 hours in a day. So I've divided the 24 hours into 4 6 hours, if you can get that. Hence the 6 colors. 4 6 hours. Hour 1 is sleep, 2 is career, 3 is your self-betterment, 4 is just leisure and family time. So this is how I divide it. From 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I'm sleeping those 6 hours. This is now for a week, during the week. It will be different if it's a weekend or a holiday. But for me, this is just a template. It doesn't mean that I stick to it every day like that, because look at it today, I'm here now. So obviously, I'm not following this thing. But in general, this is how I divide my hours. Sleep from 9 o'clock until 3 o'clock. That's me. You can do it however you want, right? Some people want 10 hours of sleep. I don't need 10 hours, yeah. And then I wake up at 3 o'clock because I'm studying further. So I'm doing my studies at that time. I'm trying to do the homeworks and the assignments and things like that. Try to find anything that can generate wealth on the side. Yeah, you know, you need a side hustle and something like that. And then 5 o'clock, there's an alarm again that rings at 5 o'clock. Hey, it's time to do some exercise, nyana, there, which I have been dropping, but I know. Just get the idea, And then you wash, of course, commute to work. There's nothing you can do with the green there. That's the one that's paid the bill for the moment. So you have to spend your 8 hours at the office, do the work. So I put it as 9 anyway. But yeah, then make sure you knock off at 4:30, so that by 5 o'clock you are at home. Then you can take that walk around the block. I have this street that I like, walk around 8 kilometers around the block. If not, then if I can jog one day, then I'll jog. But for now, walking is fine for me. And then after that, 6 o'clock you're at home. It's time to wash, take a shower, family time, watch TV, relax. Then go to sleep. Then the wheel starts again. So have something, like that. The next thing I want to talk about is financial management. I'm happy to see Ubabu Mdala is over there from All Mutual. He's here within the audience. Actually, one of the things that we must, as engineers graduating, is actual advice on financial management. Because I know one of my friends at UCT, when he graduated, and he went to I think he got a letter of appointment. Lots of money now, you are earning in the thousands. And then he went to the bank and showed them that. Immediately, they gave him a loan, buy a GTI. Everybody wants a GTI, right? When you just graduate. Yeah, that kind of thing. We didn't have advice around people are going to throw money at you. It's not your money. It's the bank's money. Be wary of the credit traps. I was one of the victims in the credit traps. It's not your money. You are now 23 years old. You're going to retire at 65 years old. Ne? So for the next 42 years, you're going to be working for the bank. They're not telling you that. They capture you while you are young, but now they're going to give you a revolving credit plan, that loan, revolving credit. Each time you don't have money, you're going to go back and take again. You're paying every month, but then the other month is tough, you're going to take again. Guess what? 42 years. 42 years. So, what I want to impart upon you is have a budget. Draw up a budget. I don't know if you can see that. Your pay slip, let's say my example I used there, he earns 10,000 rand, that guy. Have these 6 accounts underneath that one. The first account, as you can see there, FFA, which is the financial freedom account, the goose that lays the golden eggs. That's where the likes of All Mutual, Sanlam, PPS, whoever, comes to the fore to assist you, go back, to assist you with financial planning so that you don't end up being poor one day when you'll be chasing, you'll be running away from phone calls by creditors one day, We know from experience, so I'm trying to save you from the trouble. Learn from people who've gone the journey. If you do not learn from people who've gone the journey, you are condemned to repeat that history. So, 10% of your salary, the 10,000, 10%, which is 1,000 there, put it in your financial freedom account, which is your investments for the future, the goose that lays the golden eggs. And then 10%, put it in the LTSS account, which is long-term savings for spending. You want to buy the GTI, you want to buy this and that and the other, these expensive things. Don't go for credit as a first option. Buy credit because you have money. Buy expensive things because you have money, not because you have credit. You're going to be trapped in that credit. So save. Start saving from day one. 10% of your salary must go there. The next one is, I can't see from here. CF is my contingency fund. Life happens. There's always going to be an emergency. You come driving here, and then before you know it, tire burst. You didn't budget for it. Contingency fund, that's where it steps in. So save 10%. The geyser bursts, whatever, contingency fund, have something. Put it aside, 10% of your salary. That way you can actually control yourself to live within your means. Always try to live within your means. If you are earning 100 rands, try to live within 70 rands. And then the other 30 rands is those 3 accounts that I talked about just now. All right, then cost of living kicks in. The necessities account. Necessities are everything that you need, your rent, your food, clothes, whatever, anything that you need. 55% of your salary must go towards that. So that's what I mean when I say try to live within your means. Try to live within 55% of your salary. And then, of course, there's the play account. 10% of your salary is yours now. Now you can eat it rough. If you like going to nightclubs, that's the money. Go and blow it there. You like that nice sneaker, go buy that nice sneaker that you like. 10%. So if you finish that 10% within week 2 of the month, just accept that you cannot be subsidizing your entertainment now with the other monies. They are already allocated, so you can't touch them. 10%. The rest of the month you have nothing, so you are poor. Just live within that means. All right? And then, of course, 5%, the last 5% is your gift account, alms, gifts, benevolence fund of some sort, where you help your fellow persons, like try to help some people, out there. Sometimes you could even donate to a school, you can donate to a varsity, your alma mater, give them donations and things like that. For some reason, it comes back. So do that as a culture. Do that as a culture. If you earn 10,000 rands, earning 10,000 rand can be very tricky because actually with the banks, you qualify for things like a car, a bond, taking your child to Kuro, very expensive high school, right? In reality, you don't afford it, you just qualify. So don't fall for the trap. If you cannot afford to give your child that kind of schooling because you don't have the money because of your salary, don't fall for that. Yeah, so I gave you now an actual example of some sort. This person here earns 27,000, trying to emulate that model that I just presented now. Earns 27,000, divide it up into these 6 categories that I have there, those accounts. You see the FFA account, the CF, LTSS, necessities 55%, play is 10%, and alms is, I call it alms here now, it's 5%, right? Under FFA, you can see there the retirement annuity. He bought the retirement annuity. Any one of those investment houses like your Old Mutual, your PPS, your Sanlam, you can buy from them. You need to have a life and disability insurance. You need to have life and disability cover. It's very important. Or again, you can go to PPS, Sanlam, Old Mutual, whoever. How about considering a tax-free savings account? This guy was smart. He's saving for the future without the negative effect of tax. So he's having a savings account there, tax-free savings account, where he's putting some money. So under contingency fund, he actually opened a 32-day savings account for his own further studies that he wants to fund. Because he's trying to, he recognizes that by getting more qualifications and things like that, maybe, and expertise, you can actually grow your salary. So that's what he's doing, this guy. A savings pocket with FNB, since he banks with FNB already. That's the contingency for emergencies, that's how we put it. And then he opened an endowment policy to save for his kids that he doesn't have yet. He doesn't have kids yet, but he's saving already for those kids because he wants to take their kids where? Kuro, yeah. So he's doing that. Under LTSS, yes, he bought some unit trusts, ETFs, a 32-day savings account to purchase the big ticket items. He even joined the Stockfell, the Ant Colony Stockfell with his friends. It's all savings, long-term spending, but long-term saving for spending. Because that Stockfell is actually looking at one day when they have enough money, they want to buy a franchise of McDonald's so that they can then co-own it and things like that, yeah. Necessities, those ones you can't get away from, So he has a mom, so he's supporting his mom only by 2,000 rands. I know people will be saying, you're earning 27,000, but you're only giving 2,000. But look at this. He doesn't have a room to play. Look at the balance. It's 0. The balance is 0, so he doesn't have room to play. So he can only afford 2,000. Tough. There's home loan or rental amounts, rates and taxes, car installment, home insurance, all those things. groceries, other living expenses, etc., etc. So this is how we break down the 27,000. Next slide. There are those now, I want to speak to the young professionals who are already in debt. The DOLP strategy, that one at the bottom now, that one at the bottom, that says DOLP strategy. DOLP is actually dead on last payment. That's what it means. I took that one from David Bach. There's a book by David Bach called The Automatic Millionaire. That's where I learned the strategy, and that's how it helped me actually. You put all your debts in a spreadsheet so that you know what is your debt exposure, your total debt exposure. So you put them down there. How much are you paying every month installments? What is the interest rate for each and every one of those credit cards or whatever you have? And actually, how much is the current total that you are owing on that particular account, your Edgar's, your Woolworths, whatever. You put them down there. And if you continue to paying with the same amount, the trajectory there, DOLP, the one that says DOLP on the side and it has numbers, it just says, by how many months do you have left for you to finish that debt? If you continue to pay 500, it will take you 2 more months to finish that 1,000 that you are owing. Of course, I'm not accounting for tax, for interest. I'm not accounting for interest, but you get the general idea, right? You get the general idea. So, of course, that way you can actually now start tackling them one by one. What is the DOLP strategy? The DOLP strategy is, you start with the first one. You pay it off. After 2 months, you are done with it, right? That 500 that you were paying as installment for debt 1, instead of now putting it back into the budget, this whole spreadsheet on the side, you actually just filter it down to debt 2. So at debt 2, you were paying what? 200 rands. Now you're going to be paying 700 rands. So you still continue paying the 3,000 at the end there. You see 3,000. You continue to paying the 3,000 because now you are paying debt 2 now 700. So you get to finish it faster. That's what I mean by debt on last payment. Last payment, you kill it. It's a credit card, you close it. Get out of it. And then you go to the next one. You close it, get out of it, etc., etc., etc. I'm hoping you guys are taking notes. Yeah. That's it for the student chapters. Let me go now to, in terms of our sustainability. You remember I had hashtag sustainability, hashtag deliver, and hashtag passing the baton, right? Now let's talk to sustainability of the institute now. I want to talk to our general members of the institute. I have 6 focus areas that I've identified, and I call them A, B, C, D, E, F, right? The first one is our membership growth and engagement. Second one, fundraising and sponsorships. Third one, corporate partnerships, financial sustainability, generational legacy, and execution and continuous improvement. Let's start with the first one, membership growth and engagement. Currently, this is what our membership looks like at the moment. You can see something funny happened there around 2019. It could be COVID, it could be anything, but something funny happened around there, and then we dropped a bit. Some of the companies actually felt that, we need to cut costs. And one of the things that they cut was sponsoring, actually paying for the membership of their employees to institutes like us, you see. And therefore, they decided to stop paying. And then the members themselves decided, so now I must pay the 2,000 rands from my pocket. All along, I was just a member and doing nothing. But now it must come from my pocket. Actually, what's the value for me being a member of this? And then they just resign. So we've been having that challenge. Go back. We've been having that challenge. Just one. Go forward. We've been having that challenge of membership dropping because of things like that. It means to us that, obviously, when we did our deep dive earlier last year with Prof. de Kock, it was clear that our value proposition is not really clear to our members who think that it's just optional for being a member. The lack of our prestige as an institute. So that's why actually we have this strategy that I want to actually put forward, right? To introduce, go forward now. This is our gender profile. You can see majority are male still, and majority of our members are there in their middle ages there, around from youth to like 40, 46, 40, 55. The ladies are coming, quite few at the moment still, but we are hoping to grow that as well as time goes. So hopefully, yeah, we will focus on that. Next slide. The age profile, you can see there, it's a heavy tail curve. Majority of our members are still in their prime, if I can call it like that. We need to develop creative ways of harnessing the Institute's youth dividend. You can see that youth dividend that we have there. And we are blessed, by the way, to have so many gray beards there. You see even people over the 100 years old. So we are blessed to have many gray beards within our ranks for that institutional memory that they have there. They must share the tested knowledge, their tested knowledge, if we are to reach yet another 115-year milestone. Pause for dramatic effect. All right, next slide. So, from a membership perspective, I'm thinking now, membership drive, we need to launch targeted marketing campaigns to attract new members. They must get to know about us. We must be everywhere, in the media, everywhere. We must be the experts that comment on matters pertaining to our industry. It pains me. In fact, I take exception when people actually talk about how they're going to solve our energy crisis and they are not in the engineering space, but we are sidelined actually. But anyway, so we need to just make sure that we own our area, in terms of developing. Our members need to develop themselves to be those experts, subject matter experts, that we know them to be, so that they can be visible enough so that we can actually claim back our industry. We need to develop specialized programs for students, specifically targeting the students, specifically targeting the professionals. You saw I tried to do that with the slides there, the previous ones, and academia, right? We need to promote the SAIE's benefits. Many people don't know the benefits of the SAIE. I have a friend of mine who's in this meeting right here today. He said to me today, no, you have to convince me why I have to be a member. When we were talking earlier, so I asked him, why are you not a member, by the way? No, you have to convince me. So it means clearly our message is not reaching where it needs to reach. I mean, every year we know how many people are graduating even from universities with engineering, but they are not our members. Where do they go if they don't come to us? So we need to show them there's a lot of networking opportunities here. You get to move and shake around with captains of industry. Last week we had our awards dinner. It was so nice. You could meet the captains of industry over there. We have events that we organize, like sometimes as a normal Joe Soap, you don't get the opportunity to go to, let's say, an airport like OR Tambo and see behind the scenes the baggage system. Or you don't get to go to SABC and see how they make generations, that set of generations, when they shoot it, get the behind the scenes, see how engineering impacts that and how do they do the broadcasting and everything that happens there. You don't get the opportunity to go to MTN and try to understand how your cell phone works in terms of their data center and everything else they have in there. But as a member, those are the benefits that you should be promoted to say, now you get behind the scenes. Somebody, executive or whoever from those companies actually showing you around and showing you the ropes over there. Maybe even, who knows, you can offer you a job as well, that kind of thing. We do mentoring and coaching and trainings. We do CPD. There's a lot of benefits of being a member of this prestigious institute. We need to just put the message out there. Number two, the committees and council involvement. We do have a council. The reason why I'm the president today is because I went through council. I was a chairperson of the power and energy section. From there, then I became a member of council. And then in there, you show your value to council. They get to know you. So they will vote for you. Before you know it, you are the president, right? Yeah, yeah. So it's very important to actually be within that space so that you get to be noticed. And when you get noticed, the doors are opening. The doors are opening. So it's important. So from us as an institute, we need to foster a sense of ownership among the committee and council members, because one of the things that is actually paining me as well is, you saw we gave you a whole list, about 57 people that I mentioned that are now council members this year. But historically, we all know that about 34 or so of them will attend our meetings, our council meetings. The others are just there by name. So they were not really committed and they are not interested, but they are occupying positions that other people could have taken that are serious. So we need to either show them the value of being a council member, or they need to step out. There's a bylaw that we have, B7.2.1, that says actually you can do something about people who are absenting themselves constantly from our meetings without any apology. I know this because I was chair of governance committee. Yeah. So, okay. We need to recognize and reward outstanding contributions. That's why we have the awards dinners. Not necessarily our members, but anybody that we know out there in industry who's in electrical engineering and is doing good work, exceptional work. Of course, we will not try and recruit them into our organization, but at the same time, we need to recognize and reward outstanding contributions. We need to encourage knowledge sharing and collaboration amongst the committees that we have in council. I'll be announcing the chairpersons of the council committees quite soon, in the days to come. We have sections, technical sections, that focus specifically on certain industries. So sections, centers, and student chapters. The sections, under sections, sometimes there will be chapters, power and energy section would have your renewables focus, there will be nuclear focus, there will be other focuses, areas, load planning and things like that, So we need to actually support and fund the activities of all our centers, our sections, our chapters, and even our student chapters, so that they can see the value that we are actually behind them. We are supporting them. We need to encourage local initiatives that are aligned with the SAIE's goals. Next slide. So now, that was membership and growth engagement. I'm talking to now number B, which is fundraising and sponsorships. Under that one, I have 2 points. Donor and sponsor attraction. We need to develop a comprehensive donor engagement strategy. We don't have one that is written somewhere. We need to actually develop that donor engagement strategy. I am an employee at Rainwater. I actually approached them to say, hey, maybe you should consider being a corporate partner of the SAIEE. This is the value, this is a strategic partnership that you would have. Because I know they have a R&D section that they just started. There's expertise here that we can actually collaborate with. There's an innovation hub there in Rainwater as well. And in fact, our strategy at Rainwater is innovation-driven, risk-based strategy. So there's a lot that we can contribute as engineers, specifically SAIEE, to partner with people like that, companies like that. So we need to really develop a comprehensive donor engagement strategy. We need to identify potential industry sponsors and donors. That one goes without saying. We need to create a compelling value proposition highlighting the SAIE's impact and opportunities for partnership. Public support, yes, we are an NPO, and we are gunning to be a PBO, which is a private benefit organization. We need to promote the Institute's initiatives through public awareness campaigns. Next time they need an expert to come and speak on water, here I am. They need an expert to come and speak on electricity and load shedding. Past President Prince Moyo is over there, etc., right? So we need to establish a platform also for well-wishers to contribute to the SAIE's mission, because some of the people don't know how to reach out to us and contribute, so we need to make it easier for them to do so. Number C is about corporate partnerships, which I already mentioned, by the way. So we need greater outreach to engineering companies where our members work. Case in point, Rainwater, right? You need to strengthen the relationship with industry leaders through regular interactions. We need regular interactions. Collaborate on research projects, innovation, and knowledge sharing activities. Number 2, partnership packages. We create a customizable partnership package to cater for the corporate needs. We must offer value-added benefits to corporate partners, such as access to research and networking opportunities, and to our members. For example, Old Mutuals is a corporate partner of us. We can always introduce them to some of our members who don't have that planning that I was talking about, that actually you need a life cover, you do need a life and disability, you do need a retirement annuity, that kind of thing. It's important to have somebody leading you and helping you while you are trying to learn yourself, to upskill yourself and take charge of your own financial sustainability. At least you are partnering with somebody who knows and is assisting you, Next slide. So, financial sustainability now of the Institute. Yeah, so it was mentioned that we have a new, we did a lot of structural changes under the governance committee. So we do actually have a new sort of organogram, which I will show later. We need to now operationalize that newly approved structural reforms. We need to operationalize it. I'll talk to that one when we get to that slide. Financial audit, yes, conduct a comprehensive financial audit and planning, identify areas for cost reduction and efficient resource allocation. Investment strategy, we need to actually document an investment strategy to ensure a sustainable source of income. At the moment, yes, we do invest with Sanlam, Nedbank, and Investec, yes, but do we have anything written that I was chairperson this year now. I was chairperson of the finance committee. I don't remember seeing a document that talks to our investment strategy. But every week, every month, we actually evaluate how we are doing in terms of our investments. And then we make investment decisions around that. We need to diversify investments and our revenue streams, right, to mitigate that risk of people resigning en masse. Remember, we are a non-profit organization, so we sustain ourselves through membership fees. So, but we need to diversify that income stream to mitigate the risks. Next. So, generational legacy, almost there. Just hang on with me. Strategic planning committee. I think we need to establish a strategic planning committee for long-term vision. You'll see where this one fits in with that slide that I was talking about in terms of the organogram. Yeah. We need to document the SAIE's history, achievements, and contributions, and things like that, so that for prosperity reasons, you know. We do have a library here, and we do have a museum. One day, this phone that I have here might be a museum piece, so we need to continuously document these things. Educational initiatives. We need to develop educational and outreach programs to inspire the future generations to join us. Support research and innovation in our field. Next slide. So the last one, execution and continuous improvement. This is a strategy. So, transparent communication. We need to maintain an open and transparent communication channel with our members and our stakeholders. Strongly market our flagship events via email, website, social media. We make sure that we market them because it looks like we are not getting the reach that we require. Why, for one, I thought this event will be oversubscribed because I thought I was popular, but I'm not, I guess, you know? So clearly we're not really that good in marketing, so we need to work now, take my example and look into the SAIE itself and see that we need to strongly market our events. Email, website, social media, right? Open door policy, very important. We don't have an email that says president@saie.org.za. So I've asked, on Friday, we had a workshop with the center chairs and things. So I asked them to actually create an email address called president@saie.org.za, so that all the work that I'm going to be doing as president this year doesn't get lost with me next year when I'm not president, and then the next president starts from scratch. All the linkages and networks that I would have generated as the president of SAIE can now be handed down to the next president. He or she will take over, president@saie.org.za. So it would only be specifically emails related to SAIE, so you are handing over the baton to the next president, basically. So that's the idea around president@saie.org.za. We need to regularly update our stakeholders on progress and achievements today. So it looks like we don't communicate enough, so there can never be enough communication, but yeah, we will work on it. We did have a deep dive strategy workshop, and then there are things that are coming from there. We'll see how far we go with it, yeah. Monitoring and adaptation, okay, implement key performance indicators to assess our progress in terms of pushing the strategy, right? Conduct regular assessments to adapt to changing needs and trends. Things change over the years. Next slide. So this is the one I was talking about. At council of the 1st of December, no, when was it? But basically one of the council meetings, we proposed this structural reforms, and it was approved by council, where we will have now an engineering profession area and a business area. Remember what the Honorary Vice Treasurer mentioned. He said that we are now an NPO, so we are registered with CIPC as an NPO, so we have a board of directors now, because we were trying to link it up to becoming around corporate governance and things around Companies Act. We want to be compliant. Remember, we have, given the kind of assets that we are dealing with here, we need to be able to be accountable to our members. So therefore, the strategy came about. So we are going to be now the SAIEE, South African Institute of Electrical Engineering, instead of South African Institute of Electrical Engineers, to be inclusive. And then we're going to have council still under the engineering profession area, where we still have the T and KL committee, which is Technology and Knowledge Leadership Committee, the Education and Training Committee, Ethics and Engineering Governance Committee. The other committees like your professional development, the membership, events, marketing, and publications. And you have, of course, the centers and social responsibility. I think we should have that now that we're going to be a PBO. We need to have a social responsibility drive to it as well. So these committees there, you can see two colors. That means they are both on this side of professional area, but on the business side, we expect the staff of the institute to assist us with professional development, membership, events, the centers, etc. So under the board, you will have our CEO and his MENCOM, and of course the administration, finance, and things like that. But there will be board committees like your finance, audit, and risk. So finance actually moves from being under council there, you know. We will have it as part of the board. Corporate governance and strategy committee, we can have that as well. So the idea here is to align as much as possible to corporate governance and King 4 Code of Corporate Governance, basically, and the Companies Act, so that we can be held accountable. You can see the colors there. I mentioned there to say the engineering profession, the blue colors, they ensure the engineering ethos are maintained all the way from 1909 to date. So they must continue with that institutional ethos and institutional memory that we have. And then on the other side, the board must assume the fiduciary responsibilities of SAIEE and PC. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. So to recap, I'm finishing now. I see other people watching there, looking at their watches. To recap, evolutionary growth of the institute strongly promote the value proposition of being a member. That's what I was trying to talk about, right? Involve the student chapters, the technical sections, and the centers. Make them feel the ownership of this prestigious institute. I don't know what I did with my water. Okay, lastly, host high-value adding industry events and drive a compelling CSI program in collaboration with the industry donors and sponsorships. So in conclusion, I am confident that by implementing the detailed plan and program herein, together we can address the SAIE's challenges, ensure its relevance, and leave a lasting legacy and ensure the Institute's place in the ever-evolving landscape of electrical engineering. I just want to give acknowledgements to my company that I work for, thank them for serving, for allowing me to, I pay homage to them for allowing me to serve as the SAIEE President for 2024-25 and for considering sponsoring my presidential term, because I spoke to them about it. They were quite chuffed that actually I'm the first employee in Rainwater to be president of the SAIEE, so I tried to leverage that. Yeah, so I must thank them for that. I must thank my family and relatives for their support and encouragement, my extended family in the council, in the CGC, my SAIEE members, all of them, for believing in me and electing me as president. And everyone from all walks of life, everybody who's here today and even online, for your continued support and for rooting for me. I thank you.
Hello everyone, there's one question online from Alastair Kenneth. So Alastair is asking, how can one contact other members to be able to motivate an upgrade of SAIEE membership grade?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's one that we actually need to close on, that loop, where, for example, you're a member and you're trying to upgrade to being a senior member of the SAIEE. What you need is actually 2 senior members and above vouching for you, vouching for your work ethic and everything like that, your professional conduct and everything. They must vouch for you. So how can you contact? So basically, you get involved. Don't be just a member by certificate, that you have a certificate hanging on the wall that says you're a member. Be active be participating in the events of the institute so that the other members can see you and know what you are about, so that they can then vouch for you. When you need to upgrade, then they can vouch for your work ethic. So you actually need, you need to be able to network with us so that we can know you and then be able to vouch for you. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, President. Are there any other questions online? No. Thank you. And there's no other questions in the room. So at this point, it takes us to the next point on the agenda, which is for me to welcome Past President Andre Hoffman to the podium to deliver the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. President. Personally, it's been a real pleasure for me to see your journey as a younger engineer flow through this institute to have you now as captain of the ship. I really did appreciate the structure that you've given us this evening, and as members, I think there's a genuine appreciation for the freshness that you bring. And we're looking forward to the journey as you captain the ship going forward. I noted, I've called it PPED. You started with the pipeline, and it's important to you. You're passionate about the young student members, and that's always going to be important. It was the same in my year. I really did have a sense of legacy that you're building, and so that I would encourage professionalism. You're making the institute really, it's prestigious to be part of this institute, and I can testify to that in terms of the networking opportunities that I've received, the people that I've got to know, the people that have got to know me, and that's the value that you're bringing to us as members. The E is the evolutionary context of where we're evolving into. Things are changing. We live in a very changing world, and our president is showing us some pointers on how we can evolve towards meeting the need of the new market, and then service delivery. Obviously, that's paramount. That's the D, the delivery of the service. I would encourage you, Mr. President, to broaden the church of this institute to, it's always been so engineering focused, and we are engineers, but there are also engineering electrical practitioners out there that you can use to leverage. We've seen the financials, we've seen the membership dropping, but I can promise you I represent a lot of technicians, a lot of electricians, artisans that would benefit from what this institute offers in terms of continued professional development and networking. So I would encourage you to broaden that and bring those practitioners back into the fold. Honorary Treasurer, I think you have an example here of someone that might be a future Honorary Treasurer. I was quite encouraged by the budget and the discipline. So let's welcome our future Honorary Treasurer. And then sustainability. So in conclusion, thank you very much for giving us that vision. We look forward to your term as captain of the ship, and you know that you can count on our support. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Past President Hoffman. Appreciate it. I think very wise words of encouragement for the President that's in the chair. Colleagues, at this point, I now hand over back to the President for the rest of the proceedings for the evening. Over to you, President.
Thank you, Deputy. That actually concludes our program for today. You are welcome to join us for refreshments outside. Those that are online, at home, maybe you can actually enjoy whatever you have there at home as well. We will enjoy on your behalf this side. So yeah, with that, we adjourn the meeting. Thank you and good night.